Russia and China are collaborating to create the International Lunar Research Station, a research base on the Moon, by 2035. The research station will compete with NASA's Lunar Gateway, a small space station that will orbit the Moon as part of NASA's Artemis mission, which intends to land the first woman on the Moon by 2024. Welcome to Tech Heaven, and in this video we'll see everything you need to know about the Russian-Chinese cooperation to build a moon base. On Friday, officials from China's National Space Agency, the China National Space Administration, confirmed the two countries' plans. According to Wu Yanhua, head of the CNSA, the basic design of the International Lunar Research Station would be finished by 2035. The first phases of ILRS construction will include the development of energy systems, a communication network, and life support equipment for the lunar research facility. The base's construction is part of China's bigger aim to land an astronaut on the Moon by 2030. Beginning in 2024, China will launch a series of rover and exploratory missions to the Moon. Although Russia and China are working jointly to create the ILRS, it will be open to other countries as well. We appreciate the large number of overseas colleagues who are participating, Wu emphasized. The base will include a research center on the Moon, as well as an orbiter launched into space and many exploration rovers. NASA's Lunar Gateway, on the other hand, will merely orbit the Moon and will have no structure on its surface. The Lunar Gateway is planned to play a significant role in the United States' future space exploration. Russia initially sought to engage with NASA on the Lunar Gateway project, and an informal declaration was signed in 2017 between NASA and Roscosmos, Russia's national space agency, discussing the initiative. Roscosmos announced its withdrawal from the project in January last year. The ILRS announcement comes nearly a year after Russia and China signed a pact to commence the program in March 2021. The ILRS, according to the agreement, exists to facilitate multidisciplinary and multifunctional research effort. For decades, China has been a non-participant in international space exploration projects such as the International Space Station, which houses astronauts from Europe, Canada, the United States, Japan, and Russia. The US voted against allowing China to participate in the ISS in 2007, and the country has since explored space on its own. China is constructing its own space station to compete with the International Space Station. Tiangong, the station's name, is projected to be finished by the end of 2022. The NATO alliance of 30 members on Thursday urged China to reject any plans to back Russia during its war effort in Ukraine and instead use its considerable influence to mediate peace. China must not lend economic or military support to Russian innovation, warned NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg after an unusual summit in Brussels. Beijing should utilize its considerable influence over Russia to encourage an immediate peaceful conclusion. Over the last few weeks, rumors have appeared claiming that the United States and its European allies have acquired data indicating that Beijing is considering providing aid to its friend as Russian President Vladimir Putin has failed to seize Ukraine quickly. China has often said that it upholds international laws established in the United Nations Charter as well as a state's right to sovereignty. However, Chinese President Xi Jinping has declined to denounce Putin's month-long invasion, which has resulted in over 3.5 million refugees fleeing the war-torn country and thousands of dead on both sides. President Biden is said to have warned Xi of the implications if Beijing provides material support to Moscow. And on Wednesday, Stoltenberg accused China of disseminating the identical lies as Russia in order to justify its incursion. On Thursday, China reacted angrily to the accusation of spreading disinformation over Ukraine, saying, accusing China of spreading disinformation about Ukraine is disinformation in and of itself. China has been making positive efforts to achieve a ceasefire and halt the combat as soon as possible, avoid a humanitarian tragedy, and restore peace and stability, said Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Weibin. US and NATO officials have criticized Beijing's approach, arguing that suggesting the US and NATO have discussions with Russia to resolve its security concerns legitimizes Putin's incursion. As NATO attempted to de-escalate Russia's military buildup along Ukraine's borders months before its incursion, the alliance frequently accused Russia of falsifying diplomatic negotiations. By the way, if you're watching us for the first time, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can enjoy our future videos while getting updated. Getting back to the topic, NATO stated that Putin's actions have altered the security landscape in Europe and that it will strengthen not only its defenses on land, air, and sea, but will also assist at-risk nations such as Georgia. Today, we agreed to provide more, including cybersecurity assistance and equipment to assist Ukraine in defending against biological, chemical, radiological, and nuclear threats, Stoltenberg said on Thursday. We are determined to do everything in our power to assist Ukraine. NATO will strengthen its support for Ukraine in the face of Russia's escalating threat to use globally prohibited weapons by giving extra resources to aid in detection and protection against chemical and radioactive warfare. To aid with crisis management, medical supplies and training for community decontamination will be provided. 1 month after Russia's invasion of Ukraine began, NATO's security environment has fundamentally changed for the long term, the Secretary General stated. We are reacting. However, security does not come cheap, and doing more will cost even more. NATO states have until the June summit in Madrid to propose ideas on how they will either fulfill the minimum criteria of spending at least 2% of GDP on military or increase existing security commitments. The use of chemical weapons will completely change the nature of the conflict, Stoltenberg warned. It will be a flagrant breach of international law. It will have far-reaching implications. He went on to say that the consequences would be severe, but he did not say what they would be. Russian President Vladimir Putin plans to attend the next G20 meeting in Indonesia later this year, and he won significant support from Beijing on Wednesday in response to certain members' requests that Russia be expelled from the organization. Following its invasion of Ukraine, the United States and its Western allies are debating whether Russia should remain a member of the group of 20 major economies, according to sources participating in the conversations. However, any effort to exclude Russia would almost certainly be opposed by others in the group, raising the prospect of some countries instead boycotting G20 meetings, according to the sources. Russia's envoy to Indonesia, which now has the rotating G20 chair, said Putin planned to attend the G20 conference in November on the Indonesian resort island of Bali. It will be determined by a variety of factors, including the COVID situation, which is improving. So far, his objective has been he wishes to, Ambassador Lyudmila Vorobyova stated during a press conference. When asked about the possibility of Russia being pulled out of the G20, she replied it was a forum for discussing economic matters, not a crisis like Ukraine. Of course, Russia's removal from this type of forum will not aid in the resolution of these economic issues. On the contrary, it would be difficult to do so without Russia. China, which has not condemned Russia's invasion and has criticized Western sanctions, praised Moscow on Wednesday, calling Russia an essential G20 member. According to Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Wang Wenbin, the G20 is a forum that has to find solutions to crucial concerns such as economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. No member has the authority to expel another member. The G20 should practice true multilateralism and strengthen unity and collaboration, he stated at the press conference. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stated that G20 members will have to make a decision, but that the topic was not a priority at this time. Since 2011, NASA has been barred from collaborating on space programs with their Chinese counterparts unless Congress first approves such collaboration. There has been no indication on how the United States or NASA are reacting to the revelation of the China-Russia moon outpost. However, we may hear from NASA on the matter as soon as China launches the missions that will build the bases. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. What are your thoughts about this project? Let us know in the comments. Like this video and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you in the next video.